Hey everyone, it's Kristen. Okay, so today is going to be part 2, X-Men Alpha Flight versus Loki. Like I said, it's weird to say that sentence because you would not think that, anyway, it doesn't seem like that belongs together, but I discovered this in my comic books and thought it would be fun to do because of the whole Loki connection. So when we last left the series, Loki was talking to the Elder Gods. He wanted a favor, and they said, okay, well, you have to do your good deed for the people of Earth, and also, we need you to prove that you're humble, that you've learned humility. And Loki's like, well, I've done my good deed, And he's like, and they're like, okay, well, we'll see, give us a chance to deliberate, and we'll get back to you. And Loki remarks that he can't believe he's, having to stoop so low to ask for help, but apparently he needs help. Okay, so Alpha Flight and X-Men, after their misunderstanding, because that's how all superhero teams battle each other, is there some kind of misunderstanding? Or someone's controlling, one of them. Anyway, they all get on a plane together to figure out what's going on. And you can see that Aurora is still really upset at Rachel for, switching her personalities on her, because she's, suffered with multiple personality disorder for as long as she can remember, basically. As far back as 13 is when she started, or even before then, actually. Just the repression that she faced, and just the strictness of the nuns, and basically no love being given to her, caused her to have a mental break. So anyway, she's been struggling with that pretty much all of her life. So of course, North Star, he goes off on his own. Rogue follows him because she kind of, after absorbing his, mind or physique, psyche, sorry, she feels sorry for him because she learns all about him, and she basically says, she's learned his secrets, his joys, his pain, his dreams, his terrors, all his secrets. It's interesting that she says that because he's lived a pretty rough life too. When he was younger, of course, separated from his sister, parents died. He was so messed up that he joined a terrorist organization. And apparently his sister wants nothing to do with him. Their relationship is really strained. And his body is like betraying him. He's sick. They don't really go into like what he's sick with or why he's sick, but he is. And then I don't know if the whole secrets refers to the fact that he's gay, because he was the first gay superhero to get married in comic books. That happened in 2015. This was 1985. So I doubt that the writers of this comic book were thinking about that back then, like in 1985. But who knows? I mean, it's possible. You never know. Anyway, so like I said, I just thought that was interesting that like she brought up secrets. She knew all of his secrets, and that was one of his, that could have been one of his secrets at that point. So the X-Men touchdown and find like this in the middle, like this lush green, like amazing palace-looking building in the middle of all this snow. Because remember, they're in the Arctic Circle, like somewhere near the Arctic Circle, because that's where they were taking the research scientists when the plane, the flash hit, and so they're like, what the heck, what's going on? And this guy comes out to greet him, and look, it's Cyclops and Professor Xavier. Oh yeah, who's walking, by the way. That's complicated, because apparently, like, he got a new body, and this one works anyway. Anyway, it's complicated. So he's like, oh my gosh, Scott, where's your glasses? And he's like, I can see, I'm cured. And they're like, what the heck? What are you talking about? He's like, it's easier just to show you. And so they come in, and here are all the crew members that were on that plane that they were transporting. And here's Madeline, his wife, in the pink. And they're all kind of transformed. And the X-Men and Alpha Flight are still like, I have no idea what's going on at all. And Scott says, Madeline cured me. And she's like, I've been given this gift. You know, I'm able to heal people. And she's like, allow me to demonstrate. Puck. You know, she says, dwarfism is your disease. And in your case, a terrible curse. And she's like, I can heal you if you take my hand. And so she, see, there's Puck. And there he goes from, you know, himself to, you know, human self, even though he is a human, but he, you know, becomes to where he's never had to deal with dwarfism. And, you know, he's, you know, same height as everyone else, you know, a normal height, I will say, you know, for a normal guy. And he's, although he falls over because he's not used to being so tall, he says, because he's used to his low center of gravity. And so having this, being that tall and having his gravity thrown off, he falls down. And then Walter, Sasquatch, says, I can also use your help, you know, to deal with his rages. So she helps him as well. And she also helps Aurora. She's no longer a fractured personality. She says she feels whole. So all these people, you know, are being helped. And then Michael remembers, holy cow, what about Snowbird? Like, you know, she's ill. You know, we need to help her. Maybe she can be saved too. And then he comes back and he's like, Snowbird's not on the plane. I don't know where she is. I don't know where she went. I don't understand what's going on. And apparently all the other people have talents too. Like the people that didn't already have powers before. Like one of the crew members who, when she was on the plane sleeping, they remarked she's a pretty good cook. So she's now cornucopia, and she can make food appear and clothes. And Rogue asked to be cured too. So, and she's like, I need someone to test it on, and North Star volunteers, and they kiss again, because like I said, if Rogue gets to touch someone, she always chooses to kiss them, because she never gets to do that. And the professor still didn't understand what's going on. And Cyclops and Madeline are like, well, you can probe our minds if you want to, because then you'll see we're telling the truth, that we're not trying to trick you, that we're not under the influence of anything else. Oh, look, and there's my Dark Phoenix poster, one of my favorites right there. I forget it's there sometimes. And so Cyclops, Professor Xavier probes their minds, and he's like, imagine my surprise when I probe 2 minds and find 3. And you can see Cyclops' face. He's like, what are you talking about? Madeline's pregnant. And Kitty's like, oh my gosh, you're going to have a baby. That's great. And Rachel, remember, she's the daughter of Jean Grey and Cyclops in the future. And Rachel says, but is this the girl that'll grow up to be me? Like, will I still be born even though, you know, Scott's married to Madeline instead of my mom, Jean? So she assumes the baby will automatically be her, even though, you know, Jean and Madeline are the same person, supposedly. But they really kind of are, because she's a clone. But anyway, nobody else really knows that right now. So, and Madeline says, congratulations, you're going to be a great father to our son. And at that, Rachel freaks out, because she's like, holy crap, if it's a boy, then it's definitely not me. So what am I supposed to do? So she runs off. Kitty runs after her. And the people who have been transformed take the X-Men and Alpha Flight to this magical fountain, and this is what transformed them. They call it the magic fountain. And all of a sudden you see Heather, who is the leader of Alpha Flight. Her husband was Guardian, and he died though. But she is just a human. She's not a superhero. No powers. She's the leader, and she questions whether she should even be a leader because she doesn't have any powers. So she feels compelled. She's like, it's singing to me. I can hear it calling me. So she steps forward, goes into the light, and is transformed. And they're like, oh my gosh, wow. And they ask her, what's your power? Like, Puck asked her, okay, what is your power then? She's like, I'm not sure, but I think it's to lead, which that seems like a weird power, but I guess it has to fit in with everyone's desires, I guess. You know, because like her, she wanted to be a good leader, and the girl on the plane was a good cook, and so now she's cornucopia. Anyway, and then you see Shaman Michael, like all of a sudden, like this pouch that he has, that's where he keeps the magic that he taps into. It's like a dimensional portal, and in it, like all kinds of manners of creature, you know, exist, and demons and stuff. And all of a sudden, they all come shooting out of the portal, his pouch. But she's the only one that can use it, and they start to hurt him. And so they tell the twins, hey, take this, because they can both fly super fast. Take this and get it as far away from him as possible. Like, it needs to just go as far away as possible, and maybe that'll help. And so they take it as far away, but he's not doing good. And unfortunately, Madeline, with her newfound, powers, cannot heal him. So she doesn't know, what to do, what's going on. So Talisman, who is actually Michael's daughter, she goes after Kitty because Michael tells her, go after them. And she's like, why? He's like, well, it's a good way to explore. You might as well. And she's like, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. They're actually in Canada. That makes more sense. See, it says Canada, not the Arctic Circle. That's where they were headed when they got shot down over Canada. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so Talisman finds this sketchbook. And it has, like, really fantastical buildings in it, and then it has drawings that you would think, like, a 5-year-old would do. And that's important because on the plane earlier, you see this guy with his sketchbook. See, do you recognize that building? So anyway, they come across a ancient Norse civilization perfectly preserved and, looking for Rachel. And they find this rune stone. And they're like, well, that's cool. And Loki is like, hey, basically nudging Kitty and is like, hey, I found Rachel if you'll follow me. And Rachel, of course, is very upset. She's like, leave me alone. She even uses her power on Kitty, but Kitty's phasing, so it doesn't, doesn't hurt her, doesn't affect her. And Rachel's very upset, and she's like, what this means? This means that I potentially don't even exist. Like, I won't be born. I won't make it to being an adult. And Kitty says, well, that, no offense, might be a good thing, because in your future, your timeline, you saw everyone die, everyone you loved, and you couldn't do anything about it. So if this has changed, as in you're not born, then doesn't that mean that timeline might not even happen? Isn't that a good thing? Isn't that worth not being born? Then you don't ever have to see anyone you love die, like everyone you love die. And Rachel's like, I guess, but it still hurts, which I don't blame her. To learn that you might not even be born, that would suck. And then all of a sudden the caves are collapsing on them. And so they get out of them through teamwork. And Talisman, whose power is to disrupt magical energy and spells, she touches the magical fountain and it like flashes and poofs and goes away for a second. And they're like, what the heck? And she's like, that's my power, so this, obviously is magical in nature. And Kitty says, magic doesn't really just happen. Like, sorcery doesn't just happen. Spells have to be cast because she disrupts spells. And the magic fountain obviously is a spell because she disrupted it. So Kitty wants to know what's going on, who's in charge of this spell, like what happened, like who caused this to be here. Anyway, so they go back. Kitty catches Madeline going to Wolverine's room, and she cures him of his, animalistic nature, his berserker rages and everything, so he no longer does that. And Kitty's like, is that such a good thing? I mean, that's who you are. If you weren't who you are, she references the time that his mentor would have killed both of them. And Wolverine's like, are you saying that, like, can't even hack it as a man, only like a psycho? And she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. And then she's like randomly, oh yeah, by the way, did you find Snowbird? Because remember, they went to go get her from the jet and she wasn't there. So they're like, where'd she go? So he's like, I don't remember. Because he went with Beast with Pathfinder, this guy who can, I guess, find his way anywhere, and Beastmaster, this guy who has dominion over animals, to find Snowbird. And when they came back, they came back empty-handed, and so she's like, did you find Snowbird? And he's like, I honestly don't remember. So he goes with Aurora to see if he can find, he's like, hey, drop me off. Like, I'm going to go see if I can find her. And he finds her, and she's like, please, just leave me alone. Just, just let me die, basically. And he's like, I can't do that. And what we come across is Pathfinder and Beastmaster being like, Wolverine, just leave her alone. Like, let her be, basically let us kill her and end her misery, which, at that, you're like, okay, something's up. Something's definitely wrong. Like, you have Kitty questioning, okay, magic, sorcery like this, if it's a spell, since Talisman disrupted it, it has to come from somewhere. So where does it come from? And then Beastmaster and Pathfinder being like, just let her die. There's nothing that can be done for her. Just, yeah. So obviously there's questions starting to form of, okay, these gifts are great, but like, what's going on? What cost? Why, like, what cost are these gifts coming in at? Okay, so we only have a little bit left, but I don't think I can finish in the next 5 minutes or so. So I talk too much. I apologize. I'm sorry. I just, I get on a subject that I am passionate about, and I just keep going. So I hope you'll join me for the third and final video in this series of Loki versus X-Men and Alpha Flight. So until next time, bye.